Hey, podcast listeners, Crystal is here for another bonus episode. And this is a recording that you're going to hear that I did special for our Indera members. And it's taken from my keynote at Evolve. I open the keynote talking about how change is really hard for us. I break it down as why it's actually really hard for humans to change, and the importance of us evolving. And then we go into tariffs and, what if the worst thing could be the best thing? And it's really motivational, it's mindset. And I just felt like I wanted to share this on the podcast as well, as we are going through some uncertain times, uncharted territories. And so my goal is just to really help you with this bonus episode. So I hope you enjoy. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, and this is Rooted in Retail. Hello, Indera members. I wanted to do a quick video and actually go through some of the slides that I shared for my opening keynote at our in-person conference, Evolve, which happened in April of 2025. And it happened early in April. So I gave this presentation on April 4th. And I think like 2 days before that, or even 1 day before that, there was a big announcement on tariffs. And it was like, I don't even know what the number was at that point. It was over 100% on China, and it was heavy. And we're going into this conference, and I just really wanted to address the tariffs conversation right out the gate at my conference. And because that way we could really address it and be open about it and come up with some ways that we will overcome this, because it is challenging and there's a lot of uncertainty and it's changing really fast. So that's creating the uncertainty and hard to keep up with. But there are still things that you could do that are in your control. And I want you to have a certain mindset. I think there's an opportunity to have a certain mindset about what's going on with the retail world and with tariffs. And so I wanted to film this for our Indera members as well, in case you were not at Evolve or you needed to hear this again. So we're continuously moving through change, like it or not. Obviously, the tariffs is a big change for us, but this is constantly happening, especially in retail. And we are naturally bad at thinking about change. It's just how our brain works. Your brain is actually wired to resist change. It is way easier. It likes to be comfortable. It likes to be safe. It does not want all this change. So why we're bad at thinking about change? Well, it prefers familiarity. That familiarity creates that comfort. It wants to know exactly what to expect to keep you safe. We fear loss more than we fear gain. If you lost $100, you would feel more mad about that and like frustrated about that than if you found $100 and gained it. So we don't like when we change. If we make a change in our store, could create more profit, could create more traffic, but it requires us to learn a new technology, or requires us to change the way we're marketing our store, or change, how we're learning about social media, whatever it is. It requires us to change, but we could totally gain. We won't do it because we fear what we could lose. What if it doesn't work out? What if I look like a failure? What if I embarrass myself? Nope, I'll just stay comfortable right here. The brain just wants to keep you comfortable. The comfort of cognitive laziness. It rather not work. We only have so much capacity every single day. So when we are changing things and creating new ways and new pathways, it's very tiring. And so we don't want to be tired. It wants to do the least amount of work. Identify the fear of looking stupid. Again, if we change, what if I fail? What if I look stupid? I'm going to do something new and I'm afraid of failing. So we won't make the change. And the status quo bias. It's always how I've always done it. That's how it's going to be. I'm just the status quo, and that's just how it works for me in my brain. Similarly, the most dangerous phrase in the language is we've always done it this way. And I've said this to my team a lot over the years. Just because we've done it this way doesn't mean that's how we should be doing it. And I think right now in today's world, how it's changing so much, we should be looking at different ways of potentially doing things. With change, it's so hard, and it's not because you don't have the right ideas, the right strategies, or the right work ethic. It's because change feels really hard. It's just naturally hard for humans to do. So let's just embrace that. We know it. Knowledge is power, right? We just know that. And we're continuously moving through change, like it or not. And the big elephant in the room is tariffs. And this is an AI generated image that I used ChatGPT with. That's how good the images are now on ChatGPT image generator, OpenAI's image generator. I have my big elephant in Crystal's gift shop, and it's hard because you don't always know. I don't know what's going to happen with tariffs, guys. Even though my name is Crystal, I don't have a crystal ball. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I think that the most important thing for us to focus on are the things that we can control, that we do have some sort of impact over. And the thing is that sometimes the worst case scenario ends up being the best thing for our business. And I know that that can be really hard to believe when you're in the thick of something challenging, but it absolutely can be the case. And I have an example of that with my business. So I've had my business for almost 13 years. And last year, my COO, Pauline, who had been with me for 11 of the 13 years, 11 years, basically from the very beginning, she resigned. And I would say to Pauline over the years, oh my gosh, if you left, I just don't know how I would do this business. I don't think this business would be here if you left. Like, she just did a lot. She knew more about the business than I did. She ran the business. She was the operator, and I was the quote unquote talent and visionary. And that's typically how a small business is structured, right? You have the visionary and the integrator. And she was my integrator, and she was really good. And she managed the team and our partnerships and the numbers. She also did sales, and she just did so much for the business. And so that losing Pauline would be my worst case scenario. And it happened to me in September of last year of 2024. She left in October of 24. And even though that is what I thought my worst case scenario was, it was not. It actually ended up being good for the business. And I've talked to Pauline about this. We're still very close friends, by the way. She knows I talk about this story with you guys. But what ended up happening to me when Pauline left is I almost got like a new re-energizing feeling for my business, because now it's on me, right? Like, I was so reliant on Pauline, but now I got to show up and I've got to know, like, what are our systems? What are we doing here? How are we doing that? Well, when we have fresh eyes that are looking at things, you're going to see different perspectives. You're going to see different opportunities. I know different things than Pauline knows. And we're all different people, right? I would want to do something different than maybe Pauline would. And so I got in and I just started analyzing everything. And I did change a lot of things. And then there were things I still kept, and we had great systems in place, but there were contracts that just hadn't been looked at for a long time because we just kept doing what we're always doing, right? Don't always do. Just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean we should. And so we were able to renegotiate contracts down that saved me over $35,000 a year. These are reoccurring contracts. So that was a huge win. Just getting more profitable. I also cut like small little softwares that we didn't need anymore. Actually, I think the total, we were around 50,000 a year of savings, which that was awesome. Like, adding to my bottom line right there. That was a great thing for me to happen. I also changed the platform we were on, changed team structures, and I just kind of felt like I was building more of a business that I had more of a hand in, that I was excited, just more energized about, because I had more input and it was kind of more of my fingerprint on it. And it was fun to save the money. And I also really like change. So that was good for me. But my worst case scenario ended up being okay. And so I'm just here to tell that to you, that it's not like her leaving was the best thing that happened to us, not at all. And there were definitely pain points, and we miss her every day. But what it did do is it did make me a better business owner. I jumped into action. I learned a lot. I changed a lot. I changed our CRM. I changed how we could track better. I mean, I created a way healthier business. And again, this is nothing against Pauline. It was just, we just always did what we always did. Like, we didn't have any reason to look at anything. And so this ended up being a good thing for me. Now, Dustin, my husband, often likes to say, get angry. If something happens to you, he likes to use anger to fuel him. And it's not like we're going to be mean to people and mad. It's more about we're using that anger as passion and as energy to tackle the problem or situation. And so, you know what? It's okay to be angry about the tariff situation right now and the uncertainty. And it's okay also to feel exhausted by it. It is okay. How can we use this? How can we leverage this anger and put it into our stores? Tommy Hilfiger, when I heard him speak at the beginning of 25, he said, ask what's next. Don't become static or go backwards. You never stop learning. The more curious, the more knowledge, the more opportunity. So right now, I want you to get really curious. I want you to ask what's next. Use the anger or use the excitement if you like change like me. Like use these emotions to ask what's next. We're not going backwards. We're getting curious and we're using the education that's inside of Indera to support us from a knowledge perspective, because these are fundamental things that will build a retail store. And we're just looking for different opportunities. So you can be asking, what if and why not? What if we added a subscription model to our store? What if we added a service offering? What if we upped our game in our events department and started doing a lot more events? What if we created a new loyalty program that had a really fun name and came with some swag and upsold it? What if? And why not? Why not do these things? Why not? And those, what if, why not? I actually stole that from Best Buy's CEO. She uses that to really guide Best Buy and to help them be nimble, help them be agile and evolve. And so it's all about the curious mindset. Be curious, ask what if, ask why not. So if we look at the tariffs in a bring it on perspective, because that's kind of how I felt when Pauline left. I was like, okay, bring it on. This is not going to cripple me. I'm going to rise up. I'm going to step up. Bring it on. So turning tariffs into opportunity. You could strategically raise your prices. You're going to have to do this in some cases. And there's some retailers who don't even raise their prices as inflation increases every year. So if that's you, you definitely need to be raising prices. If you're working with any kind of partner, like Management One is a good partner that we really like. Kathy Wagner with Retail Mavens is a partner we really like. When it comes to your pricing and profitability, they can help you. But be strategic on raising prices. Negotiate and cut expenses like I did. We went in there and we cut software, we cut subscriptions, we renegotiated contracts and really saved and created a leaner business. Diversify your product sourcing. Now can be a really great time to find product in new countries, different countries. Where can you source from that maybe doesn't have as high of a tariff that you can still have a great margin? This could create a whole new offering that you never even thought your store would sell because you're looking at different countries and you're looking at different offerings. And then analyze your product assortment. And Management One can help you. Kathy Wagner can help you with those things. Retail by CRS, Dan Holman can also help you with those things. And all three of these people have been on the Rooted in Retail podcast. And if you need info for them, chat in here or just let us know. We're happy to send those contacts to you. But looking at what your assortment is today, is this what we should be sourcing? Or should we be adding categories, cutting categories? Get really curious. What if you are a furniture store and all of a sudden you're like, well, what if we actually really significantly pivot and we start selling blank, something totally different? Get really curious. What are you passionate about? What do your customers need? Who do you want to serve? What area are you in? Analyze. Now could be the time. If you were to start your retail business all over again, what would you sell? In today's economic situation and in today's consumer behavior and the trends, what would you sell? What would light you up? Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to serve? Do that work and analyze your current business model. Leverage unique experiences. This is hands down independent retailers that have brick and mortar stores. This is your superpower. You are able to do unique experiences. You're able to provide a meeting place for the community, for them to get out to do stuff. People will pay for experiences. You could sell event tickets. You could have service offerings. You could have people come in and do tarot readings and astrology readings. You could have people come in and you could do candle making classes there. Like, what kind of unique experiences can you leverage and do in your store? You need to listen closely to the consumer trends. What are they still buying? What are they pulling back on? What's trending on social media? You can use AI to research those trends and give you that information quickly, but really pay attention to what the consumer is wanting, both from a product and service and experience perspective. And then you can innovate with those new revenue streams. Like I said, you could add a subscription model to your revenue. Sarah Williams is awesome for that. She's got a great book. She's the subscription box queen. You could add a service. You could sell tickets to events. You could sell membership into your loyalty program. Like, you could have different revenue streams. And then collaborate with your partners, with other stores, and with your locals. Talk to your vendors and manufacturers about negotiating terms. Stay in contact with them of like, what are they doing? What should I be doing? Communication is so critical during this time of uncertainty. So make sure if they're not communicating to you that you are reaching out to them. Don't assume that anybody is going to come to you. You need to be proactive, and you need to get in there and ask those questions to your manufacturers and vendors and reps. Other businesses in the area, talk to them. What are they doing? How can we support each other, guys? Do you want to do an event together, a collab together? Do you want to do an Instagram takeover together? Like, how can we really support each other right now? Just like we did during COVID, right? Like, communities showed up. How can we do that for each other right now? And talking to your customers, other locals, and really just leveraging what you have at your fingertips and locally. This is your moment to evolve. This is it. You're kind of being forced, right? Like, this is the moment to evolve. So take the moment. It's not the time to hide either. And I have to really address this. I'm worried about some retailers because what I'm seeing as we're going and cutting is often, I've talked to Kathy Wagner about this with Retail Mavens a couple years ago. Retailers will often cut ad expenses or ad budgets, or like, they'll pull back on marketing and advertising. And that means that you're now hiding. You're actually like double impacting yourself now. This is not the time to hide. Here's the deal. Cut the advertising that's not producing. Absolutely. If you are not seeing the results, it's not growing your visibility, it's not growing your email list, it's not getting more people on your live streams, and those live streams are converting, then we cut that, right? Like, that makes sense. But if it is converting, like, we have an ads agency and we've had some clients cancel due to tariffs, purely because of tariffs. But they have even said, I love this service and I see results, but I'm just really getting lean because I don't know what's to come. And this is where I get nervous, because if you're cutting something that's growing your business, then you are setting yourself behind you and you're starting to hide. And I was talking about this to my uncle. His name is Brandon. He's not in the retail industry at all. He actually works at the jail, our local jail. And he said, he's like, no, they can't be hiding. It makes me think I needed my window replaced. I had a dent in my car window. And I don't know any companies. I don't have any relationships with anybody, but there's a window place that I see their commercials and it's a jingle and it's stuck in my head. And so that's who I went to, their website, and that's who I ended up working with, because they show up. That's marketing. And they have commercials and they have their jingle, and they're out there. They're on I wish I could think of it. It's like right at the tip of my tongue. I would sing it to you if I can get there, but I don't think I can. Not that that matters to you, but my whole point here is they're advertising, they're doing these commercials on TV, they're doing them on the radio. They continuously show up, because you never know when a customer needs to buy what you have. Brandon couldn't plan when he was going to be like, when he would need his window replaced. It's not like, hey, in May, I'm going to have this plan. So hopefully that ad agent, that company has an ad going, so I find them. Like, it's ongoing all the time, you guys. We never know if somebody's going to need to buy what you sell. So why would you hide right now? This is not about hiding. And if you are a pro member of Indera, then make sure that your listings manager knows about what's going on, your events, those consumer known brands, so we can add all that to your listings, because that's part of that exposure for you, of that digital presence and making sure that you're out there. Don't stop posting. I know we might feel kind of burned out. And if you need to take a break, I totally understand. Can somebody on your team step in and do the lives? But now is not the time to pull back. We've got to really show up and keep building the business. Do not hide right now out of I don't know what's to come, because that could set you wildly behind and make your competition way more ahead of you. Now, I want you to think, what if this moment is exactly what you need to finally make the changes you've been waiting for? Maybe you've gone a little stagnant and stale. Maybe you haven't assessed a lot of these things we've talked about today. And it's been a while. Like me, it had been years that I was really looking at all of that. And think about the money I wasted, honestly, and the time I wasted on some things. But I can't think about that because it's done. It's whatever it is. It's fixed now, and that's fine. It's fixed now. But that might be the same for you. Maybe now's the time. This is exactly what you needed or maybe it's to make a big leap. Maybe it's to become a different type of retailer. Maybe it's to add that service, add a different revenue model. Maybe this is your time. And why not see this as your invitation to become bolder, more creative, and more profitable? What if through this, you make changes that you are more profitable than you were before the beginning of 2025? Our brains, because it's hard to take in change like we talked about, and our brains want to keep us safe. Our brains have a really hard time believing that this is a good thing for us or that it could be a good thing for us. And I don't want you to get sucked into that rabbit hole. You have a massive opportunity to add events, experiences, new revenue streams, change up your product assortment, market harder right now because other people are pulling back. So take advantage and grab that market share. You have so many opportunities in front of you. So I want you to really view this as, what if I am more bolder now? I have the courage to step up. I'm going to get more creative, and man, I'm going to be more profitable. Let's look through that lens versus the fear lens. That is my hope for all of our members. I love this. Some things have to be believed to be seen. So you might not see the benefits of this right now. You might not feel it. It might feel really scary, actually. But why don't we just choose believing that this can be really good for our store? What if we choose that we believe and trust in ourselves? That's a big part of with Pauline leaving. I trust me. I know that I'll make it work. I got this business. I got this. I trust myself. Believe in yourself. Believe in your team. Believe in your community. And if some changes need to be made, then it's time to evolve. And we got you. You're an Endera member. We're here to support you. But it has to start with you believing that this can actually be okay. And ideally, not just okay, better, more profitable. COVID was such a weird time because we were like, oh my gosh, is this the end? We have to shut our doors. Well, a lot of our retailers made more money than they had ever. It was wild. Nobody saw that coming. So, I don't know what the future holds, guys. And I do think there's going to be stressful moments in our world. There's a lot of heavy things going on right now. My point of this video and of this presentation I gave at Evolve is to really help support our independent retailers in the mindset and focus on the things that we can control. And Marie Forleo said something so great. She's a business coach, has a podcast, and she said, if what you do for a living became illegal all of a sudden, you would go to jail for doing the thing that you do right now, for being a retail store. What you do right now is illegal. Do you feel happy or sad? Or do you have any kind of relief? It's illegal. I don't have to do this anymore. Or do you have no, what? I can't do this anymore? How do you feel when you hear that question? If you had to shut down your store today because it was illegal, are you happy or sad? And I bring that up because in some scenarios, it's time to be done. For some of us, we're like, I don't want to be creative here. I don't want to look at my assortment. I don't want to bring in something new. I don't want to do a new revenue stream. I don't want to cut profits. I'm done. I'm ready to retire or do something totally different. That is okay. I sat on a training this week and one of the retailers closed one of her stores. She had a couple locations and she closed one of the stores. And she said in that training, she said, it wasn't that I failed, it's that I came back to myself. Something like that. How powerful is that? It's not that I failed, it's that I came back to myself. So if you feel happy because it's illegal, then now can be the time to start exit planning. Pete Moore, he's an Endera member and partner of ours. He's great with exit planning. I would have you talk to him. If you don't feel sad, happy, but you feel sad, you're like, no, I got more life to this biz. No way. Put me in jail, like I'm doing this. Then use the tools inside of Indera. I hope that it was a pep talk for you to feel that motivation, to feel what you need to do to enter this, and then use this as the current events change, because it's tariffs today and it was pandemic, but we don't know what it's going to be in the future either. So we just have to keep coming back to this and reminding we're constantly evolving, and it takes work to have the right mindset that we need to show up in our stores. But I know you can do it. I know you can. And we've got you if you need support here inside of Indera. We're always rooting for your success. And so I hope that you found this helpful as you're evolving. If you're launching new things, you want to share them with us, please share it in the community. We always love hearing from you, and we're just rooting for you. And we just hope that you have your best year yet. We hope that you've got best case scenario ahead. You're more profitable, and it's really exciting things. So don't forget to ask what if and why not. And we've got you. Thank you so much for being an Indera member, and I'll see you in the platform. Thank you so much for listening to the Rooted in Retail podcast. It means the world to me to have you here. If you find value in this show and you listen on an iPhone, if you could leave a review on the Apple Podcast app, that would be amazing. And if you watch YouTube, if you're a YouTube subscriber, we film this. And so if you rather watch the show, you can also do that over on YouTube. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.